Well, welcome back to Marky Mark's Wood Shop. I'm Marky Mark, and this is the wood shop. We're still working on our secretary. We got a lot of work to do. I'm at a point where I can start staining some things, and I'm going to need to pre-stain stuff because some of it will have a gun finish stock, which is a medium finish made by Minwax. And our work surfaces, I'm going to use a Watco Natural, which is not going to stain it. It's going to bring out the grain and make it pop. And I'm also going to do the same thing for our alder pieces on the front of our drawers. And I'm going to try and do the strips. That may be difficult, but we'll see. I've also got to make some mounts for the presses, and I've got some drawers I saved, or the pieces I took apart. These are solid oak. They were dovetailed. I've cut them off, but I'm thinking I might glue those together like plywood and use that for the surfaces to mount the presses on. And we'll have to make legs for it, and that'll be dovetailed into the other work surface, which I've also got to cut out. So, oh, we got to make doors too for up top. I got to get the hinges for it yet, but we got to process the alder for the framing on that. So let's get busy. Alrighty. There's a product we'll be using. Let's see if I can catch it in the light without spilling it. And I've only got about 1/4 quart left, so I'll need another can for the project. I'm sure we won't run out today. However, I'm going to do this pine first because pine is hideous to stain. I'm just going to apply it with a rag. I've got a cotton rag. It's been sanded and cheeseclothed. Not the rag, the wood. And the problem with pine is it tends to blotch up because of the nature of it. Due to it's a highly resinous wood. And our knots have a lot of resin in them. That's where we'll run into that issue. But the board itself seems about as even as you can get with pine. It's not doing too bad, but you'll get light and dark areas just by the nature of the wood, the way the grain is. Etc. I was going to do the alder natural, but one of our other projects on the never-ending to-do list is kitchen cabinets, and alder was a prime candidate for that. Both Amber and I like the wood, but with it being so soft, I don't know how durable it's going to be. But at least we'll get to see what the wood looks like with the finish we both selected. So that's the way the pine's turning out. I'm just going to do one side at a time, and let's see what the alder's going to look like. The alder's taking the stain nicely. So there's the first one. I'm going to set this aside, and we have 2 more to do. And then hopefully it'll dry it and come back and do the other side and see if it needs a second coat. That'll help even out the stain also, multiple coats. Give it time to soak in and dry. So I'm just going with the grain. Try not to create any puddles. Puddles are bad. Trying to be as even as possible so we don't have as many problems with the color differentiation. And you kind of get a feel as to how much to apply at one time. Because you're going to work a relatively small area, less than a foot square, anywhere from 6 inches square to a foot square, depending on your wood and your stain, or maybe you're doing a top coat, which could be shellac, polyurethane, which have different dry times and different properties as well. And I'm sure we'll be getting around to that sooner or later. I'm thinking of using probably a polyurethane on this just because of the durability and chemical resistance. Given the choices of what I have in the shop, which is going to be poly. I've got an acrylic lacquer and varnish and shellac. So one more. And I'm sure you don't want to watch me do all these, so I'll get back with you shortly. And we're also going to be staining our carcass, because some of these areas we're not going to be able to reach easily shortly. Once we install the shelves, corners will be harder to get. Corners are always a hard part with finishing, because it's easy to get too much or too little in those areas. So I've got a lot of this sanded on the outside, and we're just going to give it a quick sand on the inside so we have a nice smooth area to work with. Okay, with it all sanded, we need to wipe it off. Cheesecloth works best. I'm just using a clean rag to get all the sawdust off, or dust from the sanding. Because these woods are susceptible to blotchiness, amber will wet the wood, which helps raise the fibers and aids in evening out the stain. Okay, with everything sanded and dusted off, we can start applying a first coat of our stain in relatively small areas. And as it turns out, all the wood in this project so far is blotchy, or is susceptible to blotchiness. The plywood is birch, although I don't think it's that bad. As bad as pine. The alder. And we really don't have any big areas of that, so I don't expect that to be much of a problem. And the pine shelves. The pine's the worst of it. But I don't anticipate shelves being seen a whole lot since it's going to have stuff on it. So I'm just going to work 3 sides of this, hoping the stain holds out. So we're all through with the staining, just barely had enough. We got 2 coats on the shelves, 2 coats on the top, and we have 1 coat on our carcass. It's going to need another coat, and that took a long time to do. So it looks like all we might be able to get done today. So go ahead and leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe. If you're just tuning in, this is a secretary that's going to serve as a reloading bench. Thanks for watching.